Next is the job opportunity. Accounting provides a diverse range of career options because accountants accountants are needed in almost every industry. Working in an accounting or auditing firm, a private company, the government, or academia are all options. Whatever reasons you have for wanting to be a CPA, use them as a motivation to achieve your goals. Do you want to know what drives me to pursue this profession? The first is a rewarding career. As I previously stated, I was already working, but I was dissatisfied with my position. In Italy, I work as a domestic helper and a babysitter, which were not my ideal job. I don't want to be a domestic helper for the rest of my life. I want to try something new. I want to grow from being a housekeeper to becoming an accountant. Next thing that motivates me is my family, particularly my son's future. I know that if I continued to be a DH, I could provide a good life for him because I earned more in Italy than I do now in the Philippines. But I want it better for my son. Maybe I'm not earning as much as I used to, but I believe that in time, I will be earning more than I did when I was in Italy. And I will be able to provide a better future for him. I want him to be proud of me as his mother. These motivations help me to stay focused on my goals. You can overcome any obstacle that come your way if you are motivated. So I encourage everyone to stay motivated in everything they do and concentrate on your goal. Now, I will tell you about my CPA journeys. I hope it inspires you to pursue your dream and not give up. High school. It was around this time that I decided to pursue a career as a CPA. To be honest, I had never heard of the CPA profession. It just so happened that my Lola's sister-in-law told me I wish she would become a CPA, a certified public accountant, like your Tio Ronald. At that time, I was very curious about what CPA was. I was very curious about what CPA was. So I told myself, "Oh, accountant, I love math. I think I should pursue that career." Then, when we were in second year high school, we had an accounting class, but I didn't understand anything because our teacher was always absent. I think we only met twice in our accounting class. Fast forward, I graduated from high school, and it was time to take a college entrance exam, which I did. I took in different schools, and my first choice was always accountancy. But at that time, my mother was processing my documents going to Italy, and someone told me, "Don't take college. You will just waste money when you go to Italy. You will be a maid. You cannot use your college degree there." I listened to him. I stopped studying. While I waited for my flight to Italy, I went to Bataan to assist my brother in caring for his baby. 6 months passed, and I was still waiting. So I decided to enroll in college. I chose tourism because it was something my father wanted me to do. He wishes me for me to become a flight attendant or a lawyer. As a result, I chose tourism over accounting. After, after a year of studying tourism, my flight to Italy was finally scheduled, so I stopped studying. My plan before was to return to the Philippines to continue my studies. However, when I arrived in Italy, I witnessed my mother's situation. I can't return to the Philippines. I can't return to the Philippines because my mother has a lot of debts to pay. I felt obligated to assist her. Her salary was depleted at the time because she was only paying the interest on her debt in 5-6. She was she was unable to pay the principal because the interest on 5-6 plus the other bills exceeded her monthly income. I didn't have a choice but to work to help her. I worked but nothing happened. She is still deeply in debt. Every end of the month, instead of being happy because I had my salary, I cried. I always cried. Why? Because I worked for nothing. Nothing left for me. We were unable to pay principal because my parents were still adding to her loan. She was very generous to others. If my father or someone in the Philippines asked for money, she gave it to them, even if even if it was from a loan in 5-6. When we had family gatherings, someone would come up to me and say, "Tell your mother to pay her debt at the end of the month, or else her debt will increase by adding the interest to the principal." I didn't want to go to the family gatherings because I was too shy. I didn't know what to do. I want to get away in that situation. It also happened that I left our house, staying at friend's house and drinking alcohol to at least get away from the situation. I wanted to return to the Philippines to finish my studies, but I couldn't. All I did was cry and cry. My auntie saw my situation and offered to assist me in repaying our debt. She extended me a loan with no interest. So I was able to pay off all my mother's debts in 5-6. In 2 years, I paid off my auntie. We were finally debt free. I was able to save money as well as give money to someone in need. That was not the only thing I experienced when I was in Italy. I went through a lot and sacrifices many things. It will consume a lot of time if I tell you. So it is better not to tell. On the other hand, I had a good time in Italy as well. We were able to complete our family together, even though sometimes we fought. I had the opportunity to visit beautiful places and witness various events in the Vatican and more. Fast forward again. I got married at the age of 23. My husband and I agreed to return to the Philippines once we had saved enough money so that I could complete my studies. I told her I will take education even if it wasn't my first choice. What mattered was that I finished my studies. Months later, my in-laws gave us the opportunity to return to the Philippines so that I could continue my studies and pursue my desired course. I didn't hesitate I grabbed the opportunity and accepted her offer. However, some, or should I say, almost of my relatives were not in favor of our decision. They told me that I wasted the opportunity being there in Italy. Many Filipinos wanted to go there, but I chose to return home. They also told me that I couldn't stay longer here in the Philippines due to the difficult life that the Philippines has, and I would be returning to Italy soon. Someone also told my mother that maybe I won the lottery, which is why I'm returning home. Oh, come on. It's not all about money. It's about my dream. Someone generously gave us the opportunity to pursue our dreams. Why not take it? We returned home and applied for BS Accountancy entrance exam. Thank God I got through. There was then an interview which I also passed. It was extremely difficult for me to keep up with the lessons during my first semester. Imagine, I stopped studying for almost 7 years and never opened a book or wrote anything. For 7 years, all I did was hold cleaning materials and clean my employer's house. My mind seemed to be empty at the time, but I refused to give up. When I didn't know, didn't understand something, I didn't hesitate to ask for help from others, including my friends, classmates, upper year students, and professors. And I am still thankful to them. They helped me a lot. We also had the qualifying exam, which I was afraid I wouldn't pass, but I did. I studied accountancy for 5 years, then finally graduated. After graduation, I went to Manila to review for CPA. Then I took the October 2019 CPA board exam. The result was released. The CPALE was passed by the total of 2,075 examinees out of 14,492 takers. Unfortunately, I was one of the 12,417 who failed. The passing rate is 14.32%, one of the lowest passing rates in the recent years. I was looking for my name in the list but couldn't find it. My name was not on the list. I didn't feel anything at first. I wasn't happy or disappointed. But after a week, realization dawned on me that I was a failure. I was unable to pass the exam. I cried. I couldn't accept the fact that I had failed. In front of others, I was fine. I didn't show them how I really felt. I smiled and laughed at them to show that I was fine. But when I was alone, I cried. I asked myself, where did I go wrong? At that time, I felt useless, as if my decision to return to the Philippines was useless because I failed the exam and unable to be a CPA. I wasted the opportunity I had in Italy as well as my in-laws' money by attending school and failing the board. I was unable to pay back their generosity by at least passing the board. To get over my sadness, I started looking for work. It was indeed difficult to find work in the province. After a month, I finally started my first job as a compliance officer. And then I had the opportunity to work as a bookkeeper at my alma mater, but as a job order. I was unable to apply a permanent position because I lacked eligibility. I wasn't a CPA, and I never took a civil service exam. It leads me to decide to take a civil service exam in order to have the eligibility. But then came the pandemic. The exam was cancelled. My option for eligibility is to pass the CPA board exam. So I enrolled in an online review center to prepare for board exam. I tried to review before and after work, but I found it difficult to do both working then studying every day. It was tiring. Then the CPA board exam was also cancelled. I became pregnant and slowly stopped reviewing. I continued to work until my due date was a month away. I gave birth, stopped working, and stopped reviewing because I was focused on my son. After, after 5 months, I returned to work so that I could provide for my baby's need. I told my boss that once I finished my work, I would study. He allowed me to study, but I never had the opportunity to do so because I had a lot of work to do. I applied for a job as an accountant at a rural bank in the province, and they hired me. I was determined to become a CPA at that time, to have a better opportunity in applying for a job. So I continued studying online while working and caring for my baby. I got up at 4 a.m. at 4 a.m. to study until 6 a.m. Then prepare the things my baby needed while I was at work. And after work, I looked after for my baby until he falls asleep. I studied until 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. while everyone else was sleeping. That routine was draining. I can't review all the coverage of the board exam in just a few hours of studying every day. I then stopped reviewing and told myself that maybe I couldn't be a CPA anymore and that living in Italy was the wrong decision. If I had not gone home, I might have had more money and been able to help others. Like before, I was able to manage my emotions. I was able to manage my emotions in public. But when I was alone, I cried because I felt like a failure. I was so down. How can I give my son a better life when his mother is a failure? I had no idea what to do. When I couldn't control how I felt, I posted on Facebook, feeling depressed. Kasi feeling ko malapit na akong sumabog. Then my in-laws saw my post. She called me and asked why. I cried to her and said, I wanted to be a CPA, but I think it will never happen. I can't do everything at the same time. I'm tired, working, looking for my baby, and reviewing. My time is not enough to review all the coverage in the exam. I will never be a CPA. I wasted a lot of things for that dream. Then she advised me to stop working and concentrate on reviewing. I was hesitant in making that decision because I didn't want to lose my job again for a dream that I wasn't sure would come true. I wonder, what if I failed again? I resigned, but I will fail once more. I felt I couldn't do it any longer if it happened again. I lost a lot of things. But soon after, I realized that in order to achieve my goal, I would have to make sacrifices. Should I keep working or pursue a career as a CPA? I resigned and began studying for 3 months until the CPA exam. Because 3 months was insufficient to cover everything, I studied in my own way. I watched the video lectures at twice the speed so that I could cover everything. Honestly, I didn't study anything in auditing problem, but I studied almost all the topic in financial accounting. If I had studied financial accounting, I believe I would have been able to solve the auditing problem. I never went a single day without studying. I studied smarter and more efficiently. So I was able to cover all the topics despite the fact that I did not have enough time. I always prayed to God for guidance. I realized I couldn't do it without Him. I always asked for wisdom. I was also grateful that my husband encouraged me to pursue my dream. He let me review while he looked after our baby. When I felt I couldn't go on, I messaged my mother, friends, family, and my husband's family, as well as my reviewers in the review center for encouragement and prayers. They helped me a lot. The exam day had finally arrived. I felt more confident in this exam than I did in my previous attempt in October 2019. While answering the questions, I felt God beside me. Unlike my first attempt in 2019, I didn't feel nervous, even though the questions were difficult. Every morning, I went to chapel at that school before entering the examination room to seek guidance and wisdom. I also went to that chapel at the end of the exam to thank Him. On the first day of exam, I messaged my friends that I wanted to go home and that I didn't want to continue the exam because it was so difficult and I didn't think I could pass. On the other hand, I was confident that I could pass the exam because God was with me. So I continued the exam until the third day. We went to Manila while waiting for the results, and my brother invited us to visit our relatives in Batangas and Bataan, so I wasn't nervous. I told myself, a friend, and my husband that when the results were released, I would not open my social media account and would instead wait for someone to message me to congratulate me. If I don't receive a message, it means I failed again. The first thing in the morning on June 1, I went to St. Jude Chapel to pray for a good exam result. It was around 8 p.m. and I was browsing Facebook, believing that the result would be available by midnight. When I opened my newsfeed, the first thing I saw was the top 10 CPA result. I looked for the year, thinking it was from the previous exam, but it was written May 2022. My heart beats faster because there was a top 10 result, which means that there is also a list of passers. But I haven't received any message yet. It means I failed. So I handed over my phone to my husband saying, may result na, di na naman ako nakapasa. Even though I had not seen yet the list. I didn't waste time looking for the list of passers, but my husband did. I was staring at him as he browsed the list. He then smiled and said, CPA ka na mo. I couldn't believe it. So I double-checked the list and it was correct. I passed. I am now a CPA. I entered the room and jumped for joy and thanked God. How I overcome hindi ko kaya mindset. The first thing is accepting failure. How can you continue to pursue your dream if you can't accept failure? You will just think you can't because you are a failure. So I accepted my failure and used it as a motivation. And work with a purpose. Why are you doing this? I'm doing it because I want to become a CPA and for my son's future. When your goals are meaningful to you, you will be motivated to continue and grow. And next, fear less, dream more. Fill your mind with images of your ideal future self. I still remember working as a cleaner in an accounting firm when I was in Italy. My husband and I cleaned the office at midnight when no one was there. I sat on their chair and told myself, if I finish my studies, I will be able to work in this type of office. I wish I could work in an office as an accountant instead of a cleaner. But at that time, I thought I couldn't be an accountant because that was my life, to be a cleaner forever. Who would have thought I become a CPA? Before, it was only a dream. And next is seek out people who can give us a worthwhile advice. It is important to distinguish between whom you should listen to and who you should ignore. When we decided to return here, as I previously stated, some were not pleased. For them, my decision was wrong, but I chose to advise but I chose the advice that could lead me to my dream. The most important thing is to pray. It is the most effective weapon. I just prayed when I felt like giving up. I'm constantly reminding myself that if I can, God can. According to the homily I heard while I was reviewing, do not limit God based on your own limitations. Simply relax and remain calm. Trust on what God is capable of. He will not abandon you. Just trust Him. And now I will give you some tips on how to become a CPA. The first step should be to enroll in BS Accountancy program because it is one of the prerequisites for taking the CPA board exam. Only BSA graduates are eligible to take the CPA exam. Believe it or not, accountancy is a difficult course. But if you really want to be a CPA, you should finish BS Accountancy. Some of you may ask, what if I don't pass the entrance exam, the qualifying exam, and I don't graduate from this program? My answer is, find a school that does not require qualifying exam. Do not be discouraged because you failed. Try different alternatives or ways to achieve your goals. Your dream doesn't end because you failed once or twice. What if my professors or instructors are not teaching? Um, you are very fortunate because of many resources available to you this time. When we were in college, our only source was our books. Videos on YouTube were limited. However, today, when the pandemic struck, there are so many free video lectures on YouTube that is only that is only a click away. If you truly do not understand and cannot find it on the internet, seek assistance from friends, classmates, or others who believes you can assist. If you want to be a CPA, you must love and be passionate about it. Starting in first year, you should take things seriously and focus on studying the board exam subjects. If you want to earn a Latin honor, you should balance your studies in all of your subjects. However, if you want to be a CPA, you should prioritize studying your major subjects. The next step is to enroll in a review center. I recommend that you enroll in a review center after you graduate. It will help you understand many things that you did not learn in college. They provide tips and advice to help you pass the board. Most importantly, they will teach you the concept so that you can understand each topic. What should I do during the review? The first thing is create a schedule. You should have a plan for what subjects you need to study. You should have a plan for what subject you need to study every day. And you should set deadlines for each topic or subject. Due to a lack of time to cover all the topics, I plan to review my subjects and finish each subject in 10 to 15 days. For example, on the first 15 days, I must review taxation. On the following 10 days, I must review management accounting. That was my schedule. How did I finish each subject in 10 to 15 days only? I watched the video lecture twice as fast, and unlike others who study the most difficult topics first, I study the easiest topics first so that I can gain knowledge in a variety of topics. If I study the hardest first, it will take up all my time and prevent me from studying the other topic. Actually, I didn't able to finish all the topics in financial accounting because it has so many. As well as the law, I was not able to finish because there are so many things to read. And I have never studied auditing problem. However, I advise all of you to do your best to study all the topics in each subject because we don't know what questions will be asked on the actual board exam. You have a better chance of passing the board if you have a knowledge in every topic. If you still have time, follow the review center's schedule. Next, make your own notes. Take notes while watching the video lectures online or while listening to the review in person. You may feel that you have forgotten something after reviewing all the topics. Your notes are very important. You can easily browse them and will remember them quickly because you are the one who wrote them. Next is concentrate on a single material. You should focus on a single material. Put your trust in your review centers and concentrate on the review materials and concentrate on their review materials. If you have too many materials to study, you will become overwhelmed and will be unable to cover all the topics. I only recommend studying other materials after you have done your review center materials and have extra time to study them. Next, do not be afraid to ask questions if you do not understand something. I've told you many times, don't be afraid to ask questions. You are not alone. Perhaps someone around you can answer your questions. And next, take time to rest. Study smarter rather than harder. Rest if you are tired and depleted. Our brain requires rest in order to function properly. Our health is essential. You will understand what you are studying if your brain is in good mood. And next is pray. It will never be forgotten on the list. Please pray. No matter what, always pray. You will never go wrong if you are with Him. I assure you. Next tip is to take the CPA board exam. Many accountancy graduates dream to become a CPA, but some of them are afraid to take the board exam. How can you be a CPA if you would not take the board exam? Don't be afraid to try. There is always a second chance if you once failed. Your greatest regret in life is not that you failed, but that you didn't. Your greatest regret in life is not that you failed, but that you did not try. I heard it in homily while I was reviewing. What should I do during the exam? First, manage your time. It is important to manage your time when answering questions. It was my mistakes on my first take that I wasn't aware of the time. I didn't finish answering all the questions, and I believe that is why I failed. You must first scan all the pages of the test paper and answer the simple or short questions first. Don't spend too much time answering one question. Instead, mark your guess answer and skip it. If you have more time, you can return to those questions. But if you don't, shade your guest response. As I learned also to one of my reviewer, he once said, kung hindi mo talaga alam, huwag mo nang lokohin ang sarili mo. Huwag ka nang magsayang ng oras, mag-shade ka na lang. Those tips were taught to me at Pinnacle Review Center. Next, relax. Don't put too much pressure on yourself while taking the exam. Don't get nervous or panic. It was also my mistake on my first attempt. I was so stressed and anxious that I didn't have time to sleep. Then during the exam, I couldn't think clearly and I didn't understand a single word in the questions. And when someone in the room passed their test paper, I felt pressured and nervous because I still had a lot of questions to answer. I recommend that you ignore them and concentrate on your own affairs. Consume all the allotted time answering the questions and reviewing your answers, which I did on my second take. And lastly, pray. Pray before the exam. Ask for His wisdom. Pray during your exam. Ask for guidance. Then pray after your exam to thank Him. My speech will conclude here. Thank you for your time, and I hope I have inspired you. Best wishes for your journey. Kung kaya ko, kaya mo rin. Magtiwala ka lang kay Lord. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you, Mary Flor.
Thank you po.
That was so inspiring, no? Thank you so much for your preparation. Talaga